Who was excited to see a former walk-on lead the Georgia Bulldogs to a national championship? Well, our next, so you're going to notice a theme by the time we finish our time together today. Our next speaker has been in the Georgia Senate for several years, but sometimes people may not know that years ago when he spent his time in Athens, he also was the captain of the football team. Would you please welcome Senator Burt Jones to the stage?
Good afternoon, everyone. You know, I always really get so excited when I have to follow Reverend Vernon Jones right there. You know, he is an exciting speaker, you know, and then I have to come up here and give my proposal to everyone, but it's great to be here today. Ralph Reed, thank you so much, and the Faith and Freedom Coalition. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank him so much. It was made mention that I am a former Bulldog, former Letterman, and I do understand there's another gentleman that is running statewide that holds that title. The difference between myself and Herschel is he still looks like he can play. I have to explain to people that I actually did play, you know. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, you don't look like much of a defensive back. I said, you should have seen me 20 years ago. I didn't look like one then either. But it is great to be here. I'm Burt Jones. I'm from Jackson, Georgia, small town in middle Georgia. Grew up in a small Baptist church. And I always used to listen, and if you grew up in a small town, particularly in a Southern Baptist church, you always heard about the book of Revelation. You know, you heard about the book of Revelation and the fire and fury and brimstone that was coming down, and you never thought it could actually happen. And but I see today, as you do study the book, and I don't pretend to be a scholar, there's people in this room much better versed in this than I am, but when you look at what's going on in the world today, with the instantaneous information that's going on, what's going on in Europe, over in Asia, and things of that nature, and even right here at home in the borders, you have to wonder if the book of Revelations is coming to pass here, right before our very eyes. But I also am reminded, too, that in the Scripture, there's one theme that is constantly said, and it is this theme. You do not be afraid. Trust in the Lord in everything you do, and do not be afraid. And that's how I choose to go about my life, and that's how I choose to go about public service, because I don't think we can be afraid of what's going on, but we can fight against it. And we can fight against things like critical race theory, and we can fight against things like the unborn in our country. And we fight for freedoms and liberties that we saw just in the last 2 years that were so easily taken away from us. And that should be concerning to us. We were fortunate here in this state that we didn't fold to all the rhetoric that was going on in the media, but in other states, they were actually padlocking religious organizations. They were closing down churches and keeping people from worshiping amongst friends and family. And I think that's very important for us to remember when we come to our next election, the 2022 cycle. It's a very important election cycle. So you need to be mindful about who you elect and make sure that you are electing people who defend your right to vote, who defend what's going on in your school systems, who are defending our children on every front, and who are defending businesses on every front as well. And I think it's important. There's a lot of politicians that will talk a good talk, but I can assure you, always pay attention to the ones who've been there and actually stood up for you when it came to the situations like that. Thank you. And I think this primary season is a healthy one. We will have competition, and we will have a spirited competition at that. And we got a lot of great candidates running for office. So I think we should be very proud of the fact that we do have men and women of faith that are willing to put their names in the arena and fight for what we hold so dear, I'm Burt Jones. I'm running for Lieutenant Governor, and I appreciate y'all's support, and thank you for having the opportunity for being here today. Thank you very much.